We are already recording. Okay, male preachers. Attire. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Plus, we're gonna wait a few minutes for people to come on.
Okay.
Okay. So, let me see. I'm not supposed to see us like that. Okay, great. So let me come down here. Okay, so we're on now. I just need to wait for a few people to come on. That's the only thing.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go on Periscope as well. So I'm just setting this up. Okay. And so everybody that's watching me on Facebook, I am also going to be on Periscope with Bishop Eric McDaniel. So that's what I'm setting up now for those of you that want to watch it there. Okay. I'm going to write all of this out. Okay. So they usually come up really quick over there. Hey, Edie, can you do me a favor, please, and just tell me if you see me on Facebook as well? Thank you all so much for coming up. It's so much easier on Periscope than it is on Facebook. But if someone would just do me a favor and just go over there and let me know that you see me over there so we can get started. Okay, so you see me both. See you on Facebook, Morrison? Okay, I know y'all telling me y'all can see me, but I guess you, okay, great. Okay, great. So we're ready to start. So let me see a little window somewhere. outside. Okay, that's better. I like it side by side. Okay, Bishop McDaniel. Okay, thank you everybody on Periscope. I appreciate you. So to our listening audience, you hear static, maybe there. Okay, before we start, Bishop, do you hear the fan blowing? Because it's hot. So I don't have an air conditioner. You hear it?
I don't hear it.
You don't hear it. Is it really bad for you guys on Periscope? You all let me know. And then
my air conditioner was kind of loud.
Your air conditioner?
I have an air conditioner.
Yeah, and yours is loud. It sounds like a plan. Okay, let me cut it off. And I just have to sweat it out. Oh, God. Oh, Lord Jesus. Well, the hottest day of the year so far. Okay, it's not as bad on Facebook. Okay, I cut it off, but it's hot. So we're going to get started. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you that are new to me watching this live stream, my name is Dr. Debora Hooper. I am the ministry coach. I am the founder of Hooper's Ministry Academy. And on today, I have a very special guest who I am so elated to be a part of this webinar, the one and only Bishop Eric McDaniel. Yes, I need to give some applause.
I'm bowing.
Let me just give you a little bit of background regarding who he is. Let me just say this. He is not a novice. I want to say this. This is one of the reasons why I've asked him to come on today, because he is not a novice. Bishop Eric McDaniel is the pastor of the Lord's Church in the Bronx and in North Carolina. Bishop, what part? Raleigh, North Carolina. Tremendous, tremendous man of God. He and his wife, First Lady Sabrina McDaniel, pastored that church. Their children are very much involved. I mean, he's been going at it a long time. He is also a recording artist and also a writer, I must say, gospel writer, a recording artist with Bronx Mass and also Pentecostal Praise. If you go to his Facebook page, you get an opportunity to see a little bit more about their group, as he just celebrated, what was it, 55-25?
Yes.
Wow.
We don't be throwing around those numbers. We don't just throw it around like that.
We don't just throw it around.
25.
Okay.
My 25th, my wife's 55th.
Wow. Long time. He's also one of the endorsers of my book. So anybody that has this book, he is one of the first persons I actually went to, because Bishop Eric McDaniel and I served at his father's church, the late Bishop Alan McDaniel, at Greater Emmanuel Temple in the Bronx, New York. Now, I have to say, he is perhaps my first mentor when it came to ministry training. When I tell y'all I didn't know anything, am I telling the truth, Bishop?
You're telling the truth.
I am telling the truth. I would not make it up. I think a storm is coming through. Let me close the window. Hold on. Okay, so I didn't know anything. I joined his father's church. He was over the youth, the organ play. He just some of everything, and I just latched on to him. And particularly when God called me to ministry, I got an opportunity, as the Bible would say, to pour water on his hands. I was his little nurse.
She was my first driver.
That's right. I was a servant. I was a servant. You're going in and out, Bishop. I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. If you can, turn your volume up a little bit more.
Okay.
If you can't see him in that, you have to go on Facebook. Are you saying you can't see him on Periscope, but you can see both of us on Facebook? Okay. So, I got a chance to bring you water, be your driver, just some of everything. Just staying attached to the anointing, and we just been friends ever since. And I truly just honor the Lord for everything you've done in my life, laying the foundation. That's just the truth right there.
Absolutely.
That is the truth. Much respect to you. Okay, so when I thought about we did a topic on last week, myself and Elder Cassandra Parker and Shepherdess Tiny Lucas. We did a webinar on sleeveless dresses in the pulpit for women. Just really having a candid conversation about where we are, what's different, what's happening. And I thought to myself, let me just take it a little bit step further and now begin to engage the issue with male preachers and their dress in the pulpit. And what actually sparked that is in the midst of that webinar, somebody kind of emailed me and said, Dr. Hooper, you know, men wear sleeveless shirts too. And I'm thinking, what, in the pulpit? And they said, yes, in the pulpit. So Bishop, I didn't get a chance to say this, but I'm going to say this and go into my first question. You were also, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were also, I believe, one of the first persons to have Bishop Jakes come into our area. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yes. The first church he came to was the church we attended, which was your father's church, Great Emmanuel Temple. Preached a message, shut up in the room. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that's right.
It was about maybe 30 of us in there.
Yeah, that's right.
That was many years ago, and you also was his organist on the road with him for many years as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because you, from working with him and his ministry and also being a prolific preacher, traveling the breadth and length of the country, you got an opportunity to see a lot. Because you're going in and out of churches all the time, still on the road. You're on the road now. Bishop, you know where we come from. What was the standard? What were we taught? Please tell us, what was it like when you started as a male preacher as far as protocol in regard to dress, and what do you see now?
Well, see, you having me do stuff that make me have to tell stuff and pull out numbers that I don't like to pull out. But I'm gonna go ahead tonight, and I'll admit these numbers tonight, but no more. I'm coming up on 40 years preaching.
Mm.
When I started preaching, everything was still basically very rigid.
Mm-hmm.
The standards were extremely rigid. During that time, there was no such thing as dress down.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, you preached in a. I was the way my father taught me to either preach in a robe or preach in a black suit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, very basic. During that time, there was not a lot of emphasis on showing, being showy and being flashy, because, they taught us then that was flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you did a whole lot of, wearing a whole lot of crazy stuff, doing a whole lot of crazy stuff, you were in flesh. That our focus should be on that word and that text and delivering what God was saying to the people at that point. So that wasn't even a lot of thought. We go for when we would go into revivals, and back during that time, revivals were a week,
Mm-hmm.
Unless God said carry it on.
Mm-hmm. Bishop, you
Sunday,
need to a little bit more. I'm sorry, they can't hardly hear you.
They can't hear me. From a revival would be more from Sunday to Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday morning, Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then maybe back again Sunday. So you had a basically a black robe, and you would either put it in the cleaners a couple of times,
Mm-hmm.
or it would be something that you can wash and hang it up and let it dry out. So that was very, very basic during that time.
Okay, and so you gave us basically what it was like with you coming up, and just as you said, you used the word rigid. Tell me about that. What did that mean when you say rigid?
Well, there was a very strict standard of dressing and a very strict, you know, and it wasn't, honestly, it wasn't as bad with as far as men were concerned as it was as far as women's concerned. For some reason, you know, men did not have near as many restrictions as the women had.
Right.
You know, I always laugh because sometimes you would see preachers that would, you know, fight against women wearing jewelry, but they would have a watch, you know, in their pocket with the chain on it. You know, so the standards for the men, you know, and of course, but so much a man can do.
Right.
You know? But you had to, you know, you stuck to basic colors and basic clothes, black suit, blue suit, brown suit, you know.
Bishop, wait. Let me interject real quick. You said that there was so much men could do, but 20, 30 years ago when Bishop Jakes came, I mean, he came into our area wearing pink suits and yellow suits and, you know, all of these loud colors. Did he ever express to you, or did you ever get any feedback as to how people kind of processed what he had on?
Well, I would say in our circle, in our New York Pentecostal circle, that's basically how we were. Now, I think in maybe some other circles outside of New York, of which by that time I really hadn't ventured out. I was still in our circle here in the 5 boroughs and, you know, Jersey and Westchester,
right?
Maybe Philadelphia. But I think maybe it was more, people were more open to more colors and all that outside of our circle here.
Okay.
So when Bishop Jakes came on the scene, well, of course he came, you know, breaking everything. You know, he you know, when he came on, they started accepting hooping again.
Okay.
It was right before he came on the scene that they started saying that our hooping was, you know, we didn't have to do that and do all that, and it was ignorant and all that. And
wow.
Days came, you know,
changed the game.
World.
He changed the game.
Yeah, you can have content and you can have charisma. Okay,
so let me just point this out for people that may not really be able to hear you. Bishop McDaniel just.
I think if I put my
yeah, try that. I'll reiterate what you said, but you try that. Thank you. He just said that there was a time where hooping was not.
Can you hear me? No, I can't hear you. What's wrong with my okay, that ain't working. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you all hear him on Periscope? It sounds much better, but you got a little static.
A little static?
Yeah, but you sound much clearer.
How about now?
You sound great.
Okay, so I'll talk in the mic like this.
Okay, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so Bishop, just reiterate what you just said about how hooping, because we got a lot of male preachers on here who may not understand that there was a time when hooping wasn't in fashion for male preachers.
Yeah, it was you know, it was at that little period of time when the charismatic movement was becoming like really, really popular, and there was kind of this merge with the charismatic movement and the Pentecostal movement. And for a while, you know, the because the faith preachers, you know, they knew. And so, you know, hooping was kind of starting to die down, and they were kind of saying that we were kind of ignorant because we were doing all of that. And then Bishop Jakes comes on the scene and shows that, yeah, you can hoop and you can have charisma, but you can also have content.
And from there on, then you start seeing, you know, everybody's trying to hoop now. Even people who, you know, they couldn't do it, but they were trying. You know, they were trying to do it. So it's just something that, you know, Bishop Jakes, you know, he's a phenomenon, and he just brought in, he just ushered in. Just he ushered in something new and something old at the same time.
And just kind of validated it.
Yes, he validated it. He validated the ham and organ behind you know, preaching, because they, you know, they would tell us. I remember when we were coming on the radio at that time. At that time, it was WWDJ 970, and that was one of their complaints. Specifically, it was more about me than even my father. They were complaining that, you know, the hooping and the organ, you know. But I was like, you know, that's me. You know, if they don't like it, they can listen to another church.
Okay, Bishop, let's go a little bit more. So, Bishop Jakes kind of validates the hooping. You're on the organ. You're all a great team, and things are going forward. So you're traveling with him. Like I said, you're traveling your ministry, and you come from, as you said, that rigid environment, black suit, white shirt. So now we fast forward 35 years. You've been doing this all of this time. What are you wearing today? What are the men wearing today? And how are people responding to that?
What?
Yes,
that's what it is. I'm gonna just tell it just like it is. What I'm wearing is what I feel like wearing.
Okay.
It's
what he wants. So what does that mean?
That means
you got qualified.
Okay, I'm gonna qualify it. Number one, the first standard that needs to be established is that there are some things that are appropriate for ministry and some things that are not appropriate for ministry.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, and I didn't think this point all the way through, but I think when it comes to leadership in the church, what's appropriate just for you to wear the church as a leader should be the same thing appropriate for you to minister in. Okay. So now when we talk about what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, I see something that's not appropriate as something that is maybe showing more than needs to be shown. It's putting on, it's displaying something that does not need to be displayed in the pulpit.
You gotta break it down.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna break it down. Showing the skin is never appropriate for the pulpit, and when I say skin, I don't mean from your elbow to your hand. Okay. Shorts. I would say it depends.
Okay.
I would say it depends. If we are, this goes back to the word appropriate. If we're at an outside rally and it's a warm day and you're standing up there and you have on some shorts that come to your knee but don't reveal anything that's not supposed to be revealed, you know, I don't see a problem with it. If it's a situation where everybody is just chilling out, everybody's just having fun, you know, it's hot out there. What is wrong? I don't see anything wrong, I would say, with having on a pair of shorts. Now, coming into church.
Let's stay right there. Let's do it. So if a man is on a gentleman's preacher, male preacher on the outside. It's okay if it's 90 degrees like it is today, but him
Mm-hmm.
in the shorts if everybody's wearing the shorts.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, if he has on a pair of shorts, he's got to wear a top too. If
Right.
a white beater, what should he wear? Should his hairs be showing on his chest? What should he wear? What's acceptable? What's appropriate?
Okay. If you're at the beach, say you're having a concert at the beach, where what and somebody needs to stand up and say something. You got sinners at the beach. So you have somebody to stand up that's going to minister to the sinners. Is wearing a tank top at the beach going to stop somebody from getting saved?
I don't know.
I don't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that in every situation you have what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. In the pulpit, no, I would not say that that's appropriate.
Okay.
You know, but it depends.
In your own church?
In your own church. If your church, I'll put it like this, because as the pastor of the church, you set the standard of the house.
Right.
Okay? So now, if you set that standard for your house, that you can come in and preach with shorts and a tank top, then that's the standard that you set. But you must understand that you will also set a limit as to who will receive you.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
You know, that's the thing about style and individuality. When it comes to ministry, sometimes you have to put your style and individuality aside so that you can minister to a wider audience, you see, because there are still some people that will be affected. There are some people that don't look at it this way, because the truth of the matter is, now you want to hear the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is, if you have a word that's going to save me, it's not really gonna matter what you have on. I'm not thinking about what you have on. It's the word that you give me that saves me. So that's the truth of the matter. But there are, when God gives you a word, you want that word to reach as many people as it can reach. You want as many people to experience that word. So if it means that you have to put your individual style and your taste to the side and say, you know, I can show my muscles tomorrow. Right now, let me put on something that's going to make everybody be able to hear what I have to say, so that the word can accomplish what God gave me it for. Because God didn't give me the word to just accomplish his will in a few people that like what I like. My word, the word that God gave me is for the world, it's for everybody.
Okay, so it is possible, and I guess this is something that we want to kind of put out, maybe younger pastors, preachers, millennials that are just kind of coming into ministry, that they might want to think about whether or not they want their ministry to go to a wider audience.
Exactly.
Ministry to actually be exposed to a wider audience. I'm going to use one of my words. You might want to think about in your dress being a little bit more conservative.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. And you don't even have to be conservative in order to dress in a way that will not offend conservative people. There's a way that you can be you, and that's what I appreciate about God, is that He allows us to be us. He does not. We're not monolithic. He does not make us from a cookie cutter factory, line. But he gives us. He uses everything that's in us. He uses our tastes, our likes, our dislikes. He takes all of that into account with the oil that he pours on us. So we never have to become a carbon copy of someone else. But what you do have to do is you have to think about what am I me putting this on, is this going to hinder the message from getting out to someone?
Okay, so that's a question, and that's a good point, because that's a question I think that every minister needs to think about, male and female. When I get dressed, and what I'm wearing going to offend or hinder the word that I'm going to preach?
Exactly. And now you have to keep in mind that there are some people that's going to be offended with anything.
Right.
There are some people that are so locked into, and they're so limited in their mindset as to who God can use and how you're supposed to look. There's still some people that think that just think a woman can't even preach. So they're not going to receive the word from you just because you're a woman. So some people, from their mindset, it's nothing you can do. So you're not thinking extremes. You're thinking from a balanced sense. Is what I'm wearing gonna offend somebody that's balanced? And not even. I think it's important that we don't even limit it. I know we're talking about what we wear, but it's not even limited to that. Sometimes it's what we say. Even, and especially nowadays, nowadays people get up in the pulpit and say just almost anything. It's almost that shock value in order to get a response from the audience. So they'll say something that makes everybody whoa, and everybody just go up. Sometimes I'm anointing, thank God. That don't mean you studied. That means just you're just trying to say something, anything, pulling for straws to get a response from people. So even with that, you think about is like saying this. There are things that I could say to a group of millennials that will absolutely shock the mother's board. So there's something. So you have to know how to be appropriate in the setting and to who you're preaching to and where it is.
Okay, so let's go into roles.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about this in regard to the women, that the Bible gives the preacher, who is the priest, the standard of what we should wear. Just like a doctor will wear, his garments, that's talking about what they have on. Our garment has already been set in the Bible. That's right here, Bishop McDaniel. It's in there. Right? So, why do you think we kind of moved away from what the Bible said?
I think that I got to think about that one for a minute. You pulled a fast one on me. Why we moved away from that? I think there are negotiables and there are non-negotiables.
Okay.
I think when it comes to a robe, I think it's a non-negotiable because first of all, you've got to look at the times in the Bible. When you look at it, everybody wore a robe.
The priests.
The,
Not everybody, but the priests.
no, the way that they were dressed, the way that a regular person dressed was all, it was almost the same thing. As you look at church history, then they began to delineate between what you wear for high service, what you wear for, your civics, and so they came up with these different um, uh, outfits for the preacher to wear. I Where it stopped just being robes, I couldn't tell you. Um, but I'll tell you that sometimes, even with a doctor, sometimes your doctor will come in and he won't have on a doctor's lab coat or whatever, but he's still your doctor, and he's still able to do.
I don't know about that.
You know, went into the doctor, and the doctor just had on a shirt and tie.
No.
I did.
Really? Well, I ain't coming down there then. Because I want to identify the doctor from the nurse, or it's the.
Don't you know your doctor?
I know my doctor, but how did I originally know my doctor? Because of the white coat?
No.
I didn't.
You didn't get to know him because of the white coat. You got to know him because when you went to his office, you went in and you signed up and everything, and I brought you in there and tell you this is Doctor. He came in there and he said, "Hi, I'm Doctor So and So." He may have had his coat on, but sometimes, even at the hospital, sometimes the doctors will come around. They may have a stethoscope. They may have, other things, but sometimes they don't have on the coat.
Daniel, I don't know about that. We're going to disagree on that
one. Okay.
To have their coat on for a reason. What I'm saying is it's an identification.
Sure it is. Okay. Sure it is.
Now, in regard to the priest, do you feel that even in society today, that every preacher should at least have a role? What do you think?
Sure.
And why is that?
Because there's again, back to that word appropriate. There is a time and a place where that is appropriate.
Like what? Like when?
Whenever the protocol has been set for a certain service, there's certain services that you go to and they set a protocol, maybe a dedication, a funeral, a wedding, or something. Some protocol has been established that you wear, a certain garment. It may be just a time when I know with myself, sometimes I just feel like it. Like when the way I first answered your question is how I feel like it, because there are days that I feel like when I have to kind of be, when I have to correct, when I have to, be use my authority. You see me, I'll either put on a robe or I'll put on my civics.
Now,
okay.
When you do that, what do you think the response is from the audience? Do you think the audience, when they see you come out, it's like, "Ooh,
yes,
what's going on here?" Because you have on your white coat?
Yes. When I come out like that, they know, okay, all right, sit up,
Right.
And then there are times that I will wear it because it's convenient. Sometimes I will put on a cassock because maybe I've been traveling. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I don't want to carry a bunch of suits and all that. I'll bring a cassock, So sometimes it's out of convenience. Sometimes it's just because I just feel like that way. Or sometimes because it's protocol that's established, and of course, I will submit to whatever is asked at that time. But every preacher should have at least a role. It's I think I think sometimes there are a lot of preachers that it's all about the role.
That's good.
That's paramount to them, and the look is so much more important. And sometimes they can have a wonderful role and get up and preach and have no content.
Right.
You know, so yeah, so sometimes it's. Well, I think we have to just be balanced. I think we have to be balanced, and we have to know. When the season is and the time is for to dress a certain way. Sometimes during the summertime in our church, both of our churches in the summertime, we don't dress up at all. We don't dress up at all. We wear our preach.
He got cut off, so I'm sure he'll be right back. Everybody, I pray that you're being blessed and joining. Okay, you went off.
Yeah, my mother called my phone.
Oh, okay. I kind of put mine on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, let me do that. So
that's a good point, Bishop. I like that because I do think. Do you find that's you kind of find that mindset with more younger preachers that they're so caught up in the robe and the whole ecclesiastical appearance that they don't necessarily focus in on, and you just shaking your head like, oh God, please elaborate. That's a great point. Talk a little bit more about that.
You put more effort in the wrapping than you put in the gift. You speak more attention. What good is it for you to have all of this beautiful wrapping paper? You spend more money on the wrapping paper than you spend on the gift that you wrap.
Wow.
You understand? Yeah, you want good presentation. Presentation is a part of it, but you got to make sure that content is there. You got to make sure that you are saying something and that you have studied. You got to study.
Right.
You got to spend time, in the Word, and because at the end of the day, what's going to bless the people is not what you had on.
Right.
It's what you delivered.
Right.
It's what you said. So because I see preachers now, they're just so caught up. They want to make sure that they're worried about the cufflinks when they hold the mic and their rings and it's just
so used to hearing it about the women stuff with the Louboutins and the hair. This is the first time you're hearing it on the male side.
It's the same thing, and it's the same thing. Let
me ask you. I can tell that you feel some type of way about that. I'm curious. Is there a platform? And that's why I thought this was a great discussion to have, and I appreciate you coming on. But are there any platforms with persons like yourself who are coming up in the ranks as fathers in the church now that you all speak to young preachers about these types of things?
Well, I have not done a type of forum or anything like this. I'm more of a one-on-one.
Okay.
And so I do relate to a lot of the young preachers on a one-on-one, coach type of basis, and try to.
No problem if you saw a preacher that you kind of feel you have relationship with. You would have no problem with saying to them, son, X, Y, and Z.
Absolutely. Okay. I've done it, and I do it if we have the relationship. Now I don't because a lot of preachers feel like it's their assignment to correct everybody, and that's a part of some of this silly infighting that's in the church amongst preachers, because everybody feel like they're supposed to correct everybody, and God did not give me the authority to correct everybody, but those who I have relationship with, and those who have, become Timothys to me and become sons to me, definitely, I definitely speak whatever needs to be spoken at that time.
They are receptive, or they rebel against you because they're younger. They feel like it's not important anymore. I do what I want. How do you think they receive it?
Thank God, those that I mentor have never been like that. Doesn't mean that I know that they don't always agree with everything that I tell them, but at least they have always been respectful enough. And this is something I've been preaching about David. And when David, when Saul tells David to put on his armor, and David tries on his armor and he tries to walk in it, but he sees that it does not fit him. David never disrespects Saul about that armor, about his armor that didn't fit. And I think one of the problems that we're seeing now is that there's a generation, and just because Saul's armor does not fit them, they're being disrespectful about it. There's a disrespect to the fathers and the mothers of the church. And if something does not fit you, if you are called to something else, you don't have to be disrespectful about it. It's like when Elijah came and threw his cloak on Elisha, he was taking care of his father's oxen. And when Elijah came, there's a shift in his life now. Now he's going to follow behind Elijah. But he says, wait, let me go back and kiss my father and mother. Let me go back and honor the ones that brought me to this place. Because had it not been for them, Elijah would not have even seen him. And so what the fathers and mothers of the church, yes, I don't believe that a lot of the things that they were against, I'm not sure that God was even concerned about some of that stuff. I don't know that God was concerned about whether you wear pants or whether you wear earrings or not. But that hard teaching brought us to where we are now. And we should never disrespect them. We should never disrespect the fathers and the mothers of the church and of the faith, and that brought us to where we are.
Bishop, very well said. If you're watching us, we're going to be on for just a few more minutes. I'm going to ask you, be kind enough to please share this out. There's so many new ministers, men and women, that are coming up in the faith that really use the wisdom that Bishop McDaniel is sharing on tonight. So please hit the share button. Bishop, I want to say this in your defense, and I tell this story often. I may not necessarily have told it to you, maybe once or twice, I don't know, but I think it's appropriate. I remember when I first was called to the ministry. I'll never forget it. I can see it in my head right now. We were standing in the chicken joint that was right next door.
Remember
that?
Chicken Hut.
Yes, and I said to you, I don't know why your father won't let me preach. Like, I felt like, hey, I'm ready to go, why he won't let me preach? What's the problem? I'm called to preach, and And you responded to me, and the train, I could hear it now in my head, the train is overhead, going by, and you said to me, as loud as that train was, and everybody in New York City, y'all know the trains are loud. As loud as that train was, I heard you say, not now. Debbie, that's how we was. We was on
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Debbie, you're going to preach, but not now.
That's right.
Even now, because when you said that, and just talking about, the sons and daughter in the faith that God has given you, and I was kind of like one of the first ones there,
Right.
when you said that to me, it calmed me down.
Yeah.
I'm grateful today because I didn't understand.
Yes.
So many preachers out there that don't understand, and that's one of the reasons why I have Pulpit's Ministry Academy. I often tell people I just didn't know,
Yeah.
the reason why I wrote this book, because I
That's
didn't.
right.
And
That's right.
reasons why, I have people like you in my life to say, what do you think? You know what I'm saying? Am I going in the right direction? And I appreciate that you wasn't even trying to take nothing from me. You was like, hey, hang out with me for a while.
Right. That's right.
Carry
Right.
whatever.
All right.
So the Bishop Hezekiah Walker, you all had just minister titles then. But we would go to the fourth Sunday night service, and I just
on
the side like, should I bring him the handkerchief now?
Right.
But I just want to say, to your defense, you have done that in the past. Thank God that you're still doing that, even if it's one-on-one. I appreciate you sharing that nugget.
Absolutely.
Let me see. Just a few more questions, and then I'll be done.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this scripture before we came on here tonight. All things are lawful, but not expedient.
Yeah.
That scripture applies to what we were sharing, what you were sharing on tonight about what's appropriate.
Sure it does. There's some things that that look nice, but it's just not appropriate for that specific service, that specific time. There's a time.
I'm sorry, Ms. Joe. Do you think, because I really want to press this point because I know a lot of preachers are watching us. Do you think, and you said it, but I just want to press it again, to help preachers to understand that if what they wear is inappropriate, and I just want to just wear it because I look cute in it, do you think it could close doors for preachers? I don't realize why their ministries are, they get the prophecy, I'm going to the nations, they're going to be great, but you came with your skinny jeans and your, whatever you had on. But talk about that, please.
But you must understand that God is not going to not use you because you have on skinny jeans.
You don't have to hold it.
Oh, okay. Because you have on skinny jeans, or because you have a different haircut, or any of that. God is still going to use you. The anointing is still the anointing. But there are some people that are not there yet. They're not there where they have, back in maybe, this is when I was traveling with Bishop Jakes. It's like the early 90s. And I went to he went to preach someplace, it's a church, big church. And the worship leader, she came out, I was out there, they began to start service. And so she came out with pants on.
I remember when I first saw it. You know what region we're from, so
yeah, exactly.
Post everybody, she going to hell.
yes. And so I was standing up ready to worship. Praise and worship is like my favorite part of the service. I'm saying I was ready to worship. When she came out there to that microphone, come on, let's lift up our hands and worship God. I sat down.
Ooh.
And it was like that. And I sat down, and she started singing, and I sat there and I was looking at her like,
God ain't in there.
But the more time went on, the more she sang, and the more the glory came in the house. And so, by the time praise and worship was over, I was weeping and I was just gone. And so that was an inflection moment for me, where I kind of changed, my thinking about that. But my point is, everybody has not come to that point.
Yes.
Everybody will not be at that point. So to me, it makes more sense to just wear something that you could still look nice, because I'm sure you have something else that would look nice other than that. So wear something that look nice that everybody will receive you. That's just Now when it comes to like I said, when something has been established in the house that you're in, that's a different story.
Let me ask you that right there. Would you suggest to ministers that they should ask that question when they get the appointment to preach, if there is a protocol for the dress?
If it means that much to you, then yeah.
Okay.
If it, see, because to me, there's nowhere that I go that my style or being different would mean that much to me.
Okay.
Because
you're on the safe side, you're not right. You're not coming with your shorts and all of that.
Exactly.
You just a pair of slack shirt, whatever.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Like new preachers that are just coming out, would you suggest that And then you, at this point, you kind of know where you're going. You've been doing this 40 years.
Right.
Just coming out the gate, would you kind of give a word of wisdom and say, if you don't, like I say, what do I say? Know before you go.
Yeah.
That you ask that question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I kind of almost live by the rule. If you have to ask, you probably shouldn't.
Okay.
For some things that works for a lot of things for me. Mm-hmm. If you have to ask, you probably shouldn't. But if it means that much to you, and again, like you said, you know what you're going to. If you're going to to preach at an event for millennials, for the most part, that you can probably relax in your dress. At that point, it would be good to ask, like say for you, if you were going to something like that, it probably would be good to ask, would it be appropriate if I wear slacks or jeans? Yeah, because if it's, it's a difference if you're preaching to millennials for such and such World Harvest Church, or if you preach it for World Apostolic Church, millennials. And I'm apostolic, so it's no shade against apostolic, because I'm very much apostolic. We are very much apostolic, that to the bone, and but we understand the times. We got to have an understanding of the times.
That's good. Have an understanding of the times.
Yes.
A lot of times people talk about tradition, and you share this, but I'm just going to twist it another way. A lot of times you'll hear people say, everything that they told y'all was just tradition. It's not in the Bible. It's just tradition. They turned it into a doctrine. Throw all of that out the window. It doesn't matter. What is your feeling on that?
I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. It gets on my nerves.
Okay.
Because now there are some traditions that are there are some traditions that can be binding.
Okay. Please give us an example so we want to be clear.
I would say, well, as I talk, I'll try to think of an example. I don't the tradition of makeup.
Mm-hmm.
The traditional church, you don't wear makeup. Well, to me that's binding, because a woman wants to look nice, and some need a little help.
Right.
Sometimes you need a little
paint.
Every house need a little something, So to put a little on, it doesn't hurt anything. But when you start talking about, everything. You can't throw away every tradition. There's some tradition that's a part of our culture.
That's what I want you to talk about. They put the traditions in place, and I believe to give us some boundaries. It wasn't that they were just trying to make our life miserable.
No.
So talk about the reasons why they did that.
There are different traditions have different reasonings.
Yes.
Okay, there are some things that they told us to do or told us not to do, and it was good that they told us not to do it because when we got to this place of freedom and we could do anything, we went overboard.
Yes, we did. Yes.
And our freedom led to lasciviousness.
Yes.
And so now we're so free until we just do anything. So there are some stuff that we needed to have those boundaries set. And there are some people. There's some people now. My wife now. Of course, there's some things that we don't hold to these traditions anymore. But then there are certain things that she ain't never going that far.
Right. Because you can hear your father-in-law pulling you right there.
You better get back here. You better set out someplace.
Woo! They put it in us. Did they put it in?
Yeah. But then there's certain traditions that's culture.
Yes. True. That's good.
It's certain ways that we sing. It's certain ways that we preach. It's certain things that we do. Yeah, it's tradition, but it's just a part of our culture. Right. Like there's certain recipes that's tradition. Your grandma's recipes, that's tradition.
Yes.
You're not going to throw that away because it still tastes good.
Exactly.
Does
that go back to what you were saying about respecting?
Yes. Yes, we must respect, and even if you come to the point that okay, this is not a tradition that I don't do anymore, but I don't have to beat people up that do it. I don't have to beat other people up. We don't have to beat them. Y'all have to wear the little things on your head.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're gonna beat up everybody that wears a prayer cap? No.
Y'all listening to this?
No.
These mothers and fathers in the faith, some of them have already passed on. Some of them are still here, and some of them are still your pastors.
Honor them. Honor them. Honor them.
Tradition.
That's right. That's right.
Make sure. Go ahead, Bishop. You respect them.
Yeah, honor them, respect them, and honor them because it took that to get you to where you are.
Yes.
So you honor them. You thank God. You thank God that you were able to adhere to some of the stuff that you were able to do. That taught you.
I want to push that envelope.
Okay.
Hear somebody else trying to tell you, forget about your father. They don't know what they're talking about. Don't listen to them people. How should a person handle that if they hear that coming from their friends or their peers on social media? How should they handle that?
Stay away. Stay away because that's the wrong spirit. It's a wrong spirit. You never hook up with something or someone that wants to kill your father.
Ooh, or your mother. Did y'all get that? Say that one more time.
You don't hook up. You don't listen. You honor the scripture. You never see anywhere in the scripture that tells you. I just told you, Elijah said, I got to go back and kiss my mother and father. Yes. You always honor them, even if you're going in a different direction, even if you're not going to do what they taught you to do anymore. You still honor them.
Because they become your foundation.
Yes, that's your foundation. That's your foundation. And because the truth of the matter is, and it's like a spirit that's running rampant now, where In order to embrace something new, you gotta kill what's old.
Ooh, that bishop say that again. There's a spirit running
It's a spirit. It's a spirit that says, in order to embrace something new, you got to kill something old. No, we become the sum total of all of our experiences, all of our teachings. Yes, there's something. If there's something that, like I said, that's off and that's contrary, yeah, you don't have to carry that. But there are some things. I don't care how hard your background is. Everything they taught you wasn't wrong.
That's right.
And if we incorporate more of what they taught us, I bet we'd be better off.
Yes, we would.
If we go back to praying like we were taught, fasting like we were taught, some of the stuff that we do now that's okay, maybe we should not do so much of it. I think we'd be in a different place now.
So
I think
it was not a bad thing.
no.
Bishop said,
No.
if you're around somebody that basically will give you some harsh sayings about people that have helped lay the foundation in your life, you need to get away from them.
Get away from them. Get away from them. Because, and see, what they don't understand is that when you instill that into someone and say they come and they now become your son, somebody else is coming with something else. There's somebody else coming, and they're going to have to reap what you sow.
Exactly. I believe that, Bishop. And not only that, I'm thinking to myself, even though you were in that church, if we're going to really be biblical here, the step of a good man was ordered. I was ordered to your father's church.
That's right.
I recall when I first went out with them to hand out tracts, and they
That's
told me my arms was out. I didn't understand it, but God sent me that way for a reason. And I have to honor that. I've learned, I know what to do, what not to do. Again, all things are lawful but not exclusive. But if I'm going to really say that God is over my life, He's Lord in my life, then I have to believe He sent me where He sent me for a reason.
Absolutely.
And we have to honor that.
Absolutely. You cannot despise the small things. You cannot despise the foundation. You cannot despise what was put in you by like we said, the fathers and the mothers. You can't throw it away. You need all of it. God has a reason that He took you that way. It's the reason why I was born into the family I was born into.
Right.
It's the reason I needed that. Yes, with all of it, we needed. There's a reason why I needed my father's hammer, which I was under quite often.
And at the end of the day, don't we preach as preachers? Don't we preach out of those experiences?
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time. I wrote this book. This is the only book I've ever written. Everybody. In this particular book, I wrote 316 pages. Now, I've never written a book in my life, and I'm thinking, I really wanted to get 500 pages, and my knees were killing me like they're killing me right now from sitting there all the time. But the truth of the matter is, I'm writing because I'm thinking they don't know. I didn't know. If I didn't have you going to those services and just kind of running behind you, how would I know?
Exactly.
I became passionate when it became time for sharing it with other people.
And then the key is, the good thing is that you were teachable. You were teachable, and that's important. You gotta be teachable, and that's something you have to be forever. You have to be forever. I'm still teachable now. I'm still when I get around the fathers and my big brothers, I shut up and glean. And sometimes you learn from them what not to do, what not to say. But you always had a teachable spirit, and that's important. It's important for the generations that's coming along to be able to be taught And I realize that the new generations have more information than has ever been available. We do understand that, but there's still some wisdom. I love to go around, the older Bishop Rogers and Bishop Page and all those older bishops
Left among us.
that's still here, and just listen to them. Bishop Watkins, I just sit and just listen to them talk. Just listen. I get wisdom even from their jokes.
Yes.
I get wisdom from everything. And
The matter is, Bishop, I think a lot of times even younger preachers don't realize is the very thing that they're sharing with us, you're going to pass that way. I think they're thinking to themselves, I ain't going that way. It ain't going to happen to me. Listen.
just keep living.
Valleys are going to be the same.
Just keep living.
Be quiet.
Yep.
More and more, just be quiet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bishop, this has really been great. I appreciate this healthy conversation and the wisdom that you shared on today. In your final words, and then I'm going to have you just kind of give final words, but then also talk about if you have any upcoming events and books or anything that you have or whatever that you might want to share with the audience. But in your final moments, is there any, again, words of wisdom that you kind of really want to PowerPoint you want to share with the preachers and the ministry leaders? Wait. Before you do that, I wanted to ask you this. We have a lot of older pastors who unfortunately are not going out, anymore, or they just don't really know what's going on. Somebody like yourself, or maybe even a younger preacher perhaps, or myself may come in the church and preach, and they may look at them like, what is that they got on? What would you say to those older pastors now that things are or have changed?
I would say to the older pastors, which is it goes along with the final words that I would say, and I think I said this word while I was talking. There has to be balance. Balance is very important. I think if I would describe where I am, because there's some people that see me as extremely liberal, and then there's some people that see me as conservative. And I'm kind of glad that there's some that see me as liberal and some that see me as conservative, because the truth of the matter is, I see myself in the middle. I see myself as a bridge.
Okay.
Between the liberal and the conservative.
Okay.
And I think there is a place where we can meet in the middle, where there's balance, where, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about compromising the message. I'm not talking about compromising the gospel and holiness and none of that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the negotiables.
Mm-hmm.
The non-negotiables, I'm never moving.
Right.
It's Jesus all the way.
Exactly.
You gotta be saved.
Right.
You gotta believe. You gotta have faith. If there is a hell, if you don't live right, you're going to hell. I believe all that. So those are non-negotiables. The blood, the cross, those are non-negotiables.
Right.
Now, whether I dress up or dress down, that's a negotiable.
Okay.
And I would say to our older preachers, let's not be so close-minded, and let's kind of be open.
Okay, that's good.
And let's not be, to everybody, let's not be so right all the time, because you can be so right until you're wrong. You'd be wrong for being so right.
Right.
There's a lot of People can live, which is what this is. I think this is probably the first Facebook Live that I've been a part of, because I just don't do it, because to me, when I don't go, I'm not Facebook a lot. But when you do go on, you see one person fussing about this, and then you see another person fussing about that.
Right.
Why does everything have to be a war? Why can't, if you're comfortable preaching in your jeans and your t-shirt, if that's the way you choose to do it, go ahead. If it minimizes who you will affect, that's you. You make the decision. If I want to preach in a shirt and tie, then let me preach in a shirt and tie. You do it how you feel like doing it, and leave everybody else alone.
So the scriptures that have to do with the priests and the robes, what are we gonna do with that?
We are gonna when
put it in its proper place.
Put it in its place. When it's the right thing, when it's appropriate, when it's what you feel like wearing, then do it. But when you don't feel like doing it, if you feel, as long as you are appropriate.
Appropriate is the key word on tonight, everybody.
That's the key word, and just let's stop fighting over.
And have these healthy conversations.
Have the conversation.
We're not here to condemn anybody.
No, absolutely not.
Because there are a lot of people, Bishop. I mean, you and I have been blessed to be on the field. So, our parameters are much wider as to what's going on in the body, around the world. But there are a lot of people that never come out of the four walls of their church. And that's really what these platforms are for, to help people understand. There are people just on the other side that are just doing some major things that don't look like you. And it's okay.
And there are some that don't care. When it boils down to it, if I'm drowning,
don't matter who comes.
Somebody can jump in and save me. They can have on a robe, they can have on a suit, they can have on whatever. But you saved me, and I think,
you're gonna have some Speedos on.
Right, it don't matter. As long as you come in and save me, that's what I appreciate. And and the people that we're preaching to, that really need to hear and really need this word, we're caught up. Or it's the church people that's caught up on that stuff. But somebody that really needs that, they don't even see the difference. They don't know what you're supposed to have on. They don't know what to call you. Call you Bishop, call you Eric, call you Debbie, call you whatever. They don't know. They just know that they want what you're giving, and they receive it.
Exactly. But if you are a leader, which we are leaders and we are priests, keep in mind, key word tonight is be appropriate. If you don't know what to do, ask the question.
Ask.
You don't want any doors closing. I tell people this all the time. That's why I'm just conservative. I just wear a simple black dress. I learned that from Jackie McCullough. It works everywhere.
It works.
Sometimes, it could be a summer skirt, it could be, what I'm saying? There's so many different types of dresses to wear, but I try to be appropriate.
Exactly.
Sure, just put on a robe.
Exactly.
They're not going to put me, listen, because I'm going for the call back. I don't know about you.
That's right. Now, when you come to my church, now I might come downstairs all robed up. I might come downstairs with a collar. I might come downstairs with a suit. Or I might come downstairs in some jeans and some Timbs and some, whatever.
And let me ask you this, Bishop, before we go, because I thought about this. Even when it comes to, let's say, Holy Eucharist, you're going to serve Holy Communion. Would you do that? Well, I ain't going to say you, but have you ever seen somebody do that with a pair of shorts on and a t-shirt? Just yes or no, not you. Just have you seen?
Well, no, I have to tell you me. Usually we serve communion in either in some type of robe or in civic, collar and all of that. Um, there was one time that we had a spontaneous communion.
Okay.
Because I was teaching about the blood, or I was teaching about something, and the power of God just came into place, and I told them, go and get the communion right now. And it was the most powerful communion that we ever had, and I had on jeans and sneakers. Nobody was dressed. Nobody was. It was the most powerful. When I tell you that the power of God moved in that service like never before. So again, to me, that's being open.
Right.
That's just being open. It's not that we plan to do it that way. When we plan to do it, we plan to do it, in our some type of clergy attire. But you got to be open to. Yeah, you gotta be open, because the power of God, or the move of God, might cause there to be. Yeah.
And that's good, because if you never again, if that would have been 30 years ago, I don't know if you would have did that, because
no, absolutely not.
All that doctrine and tradition. And
yes.
It's impossible. But you're open. That's good.
Exactly. We did it. I think that happened. There's another time that something crazy like that happened. I can't remember what happened, but like I said, be open. Let's not be judgmental. Let's not. Because somebody doesn't do something the same way you do it, does not make it wrong.
Right. Bishop, you getting gangster. I'm getting.
Yes. That's annoying. People think, and that's why we have so much division in the body, because everybody, if you don't do it this way, it ain't right. If you don't do it my way, it ain't right. And that's just not true. There are some people who come from different cultures, different backgrounds, and they just don't do it your way.
Right. And know that there's a whole world out there, everybody. And get out.
Get out. Yes. Yes.
Go to these conferences. Go to these conventions. If you are apostolic, go to a Church of God in Christ convention. See what other people are doing, because when you do that, then you will eliminate being narrow-minded.
Exactly. And go and be able to experience other stuff, and then don't come back and start tearing down. Look, just know that you can be versatile. You can have different variations. God does not make us all the same.
Even in the different denominations, each denomination has its own culture.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If you go to Church of God in Christ, everybody's gonna be rhinestone down, big hats, and you know what I'm saying? You go to apostolic, it's gonna be little long dresses, and everybody have their own culture. And all we're saying tonight is
and it's all good. It's all good. I remember. I hope I'm not talking too much. I'm gonna stop. I remember last year. I went to Bishop Neil Ellis's convocation, and in the same hotel in Greensboro.
Okay.
Yeah, and so wonderful service. But in the same arena, there was another convocation, and it was a small apostolic organization. So I saw all of them going, and you could look, of course you could look and tell the difference. Yeah. And so I was in one service for a while, and I said, let me go see what's going on in the other service. I tell you, they was having some stomp down, but I mean, it was old. They was having devotional service with the deacons leading devotional service. But I'm saying that's how big God is. You can't limit God to your experience and your church and your way of doing things. God is so big, and if you
trying to reach so many different people that come
yes,
from all
yes, yes,
the
yes,
running around in my head is when God says to Peter, rise and eat or kill or whatever he told
that's right,
He's like, no, I can't do that. God's like, oh, yes, you are, because
that's right.
I'm not just going to stay stuck right there.
Yeah.
So this has really been tremendous, Bishop. I appreciate you so much. Please, anything coming up, any books, anything you have, please share with the audience.
Well,
Tell us about reunion, the New Bronx Mass reunion choir.
well,
Do.
we are going to do something in November. We are going to start this Bronx Mass. It's going to be, it's going to actually be called New York Sings.
Okay, I like it.
And so we're going to be bringing together just people from New York, period. And then if the Lord says the same later, we'll do a North Carolina Sings. Mm-hmm. And we just bring people together. We just come together and sing and enjoy God and have a good time. My books, y'all pray for me about my books. I've written about 3, and have not released any of them because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and so once you finish one thing and then you go back and start thinking about it, and I don't like this, and so then I set the whole thing aside. So y'all just pray that one day I would just release one of them.
Okay, well,
at least.
You need my help.
Yes.
I just thought about something, and I want you to share this, not just with the men, but for all of us. I was listening to the celebration of your 50-25, and I was listening to you sing, and I said, oh my God, I love your voice. I mean, your voice is just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And across to me was, I've been knowing Bishop McDaniel for 30 years, and I'm thinking he still sounds like, what advice would you give to preachers concerning our voices and keeping them at a place where, we can minister without it, going out and getting scratchy? And what's your secret sauce?
Well, now I'm going to tell you, I have sinus issues, so I always have issues with my voice. And so everyone, you kind of, as you live, you kind of learn what works for you. Now, what works for me is the more I pay attention to it, the more it's a problem.
Okay, the sinus is saying?
The more I'm trying to do something so that my voice is fine, the more it's a problem. So I'll be, taking lemons or taking honey or doing this and doing that. And when I do that, then that it becomes more of a problem. The best thing that I would say is to make sure that you, after you preach, that you completely change everything and that you're completely dry. Okay. Keep your neck closed when you go out and keep a hat on. It's important that you, the older I get, the more I'm learning the importance of vegetables and some type of working out. I noticed that when I at least get on that treadmill, that I do better across the board. A couple of secrets, when your voice, when you really have a problem with your throat, raw garlic works really good, but it's, you're very offensive.
It's tradition, but you ain't gonna like it.
You're not gonna like it. It's nasty. The people around you are not going to appreciate you. But if you put some after you chew the garlic, then chew some ginger. That will bring the smell down a little bit. But those are. But other than that, I just I just pray and ask God to help me.
Well, he heard them prayers. I'm like, I mean, you still sound the same. I'm like, oh my God.
You just love me. You just kind because
Listen,
you just love me.
that's true too. But I was like, my, come on. I mean, your vibrato is just amazing. Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna be a praise and worship leader. I'm gonna hang out with Bishop McDaniel. Yeah, right. He was helping everybody. Calling Debbie. I'm telling you. You might be up here on the mic, but you won't be singing. It's the truth. Anybody watching, 30 years ago, there I was, Sister Hooper, trying to do this.
And those preach. Not praise and worship, preach. You made an awesome preacher.
Thank you so much. I believe that was a stepping stone, from coming from being a rapper, from out of a Baptist church, just all of that.
Sure.
Amazing. I'm like, okay, I think that was just a stepping stone.
Yeah. And I think it's so awesome what you're doing now, coaching and, because so many people want to move forward and a lot of times, there's no one to really, point them. And I think that is so awesome for you to accept that assignment to coach people and to point people in the right direction. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful anointing and a wonderful gift you are to the body.
Well, thank you so much, Bishop. And again, I salute you as my first mentor. It would be your father, and apostolic and all of that, but of course we wasn't trying to listen to him.
Well, Daddy was
father. We was like, Eric, where you preaching at? Where you going to sing tonight?
Yes, we had our ways of getting through it.
Yes,
we had our ways of getting through it, but
God be the glory.
I appreciate all of it. Yeah. I thank God for all of it because I wouldn't be who I am today without that.
Yes. Again, Bishop, just share with them. Bishop, you can connect with Bishop McDaniel on Facebook. And is it Bishop McDaniel or Eric McDaniel?
No, well, let's see. I have so many pages. Eric McDaniel 2. I think there's one called Bishop Eric McDaniel.
Just put it in there. If you see a black face with a beard, that would be him.
Right. One is with my beard and my shades. One is with my grandson. And one is with me with my Wakanda shirt on.
He said balance.
Balance.
And it's Bishop McDaniel without the S.
No S.
Just share with them again where your church is and everything.
Our church in New York is 4748 Bronx Boulevard, and that's Bronx Boulevard on the corner of 242nd Street. Like we're right on the border of the Bronx and Mount Vernon. Oh. And in Raleigh,
and you started there, remember?
Yeah, started in Mount Vernon. That's right. Back here again. And in Raleigh, I think it's 1657 North Market Drive. And that's right down, if you're in the Raleigh area, you know where Red Lobster is. There's only one Red Lobster in Raleigh, and we're right down the block from Red Lobster.
There's only one Red Lobster in
Raleigh? Only one Red Lobster. Mm-hmm. And we're right down the block from there.
Wow. Well, listen, everybody, if you need a preacher or you like Bishop McDaniel to come in and share, do some training with your preachers, given a great deposit in my life. We were blessed with him on tonight. Please feel free to reach out to him. Also, his wife is a tremendous preacher. Many of you have probably heard of her. Co-pastor Sabrina McDaniel. I was thinking about, it was Brittany's birthday. I was like, Lord, I remember when she was born.
Can you believe that? My child is 29 years old. She's going to be having a baby at any moment.
Yeah.
She's preaching, and her husband is a great preacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta get down in a rally. Oh my God. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
we gotta have you to come down here and holler for us.
Yes, absolutely. Again, everybody, my name is Dr. Debora Hooper. I am the ministry coach. You can feel free to connect with me anywhere on social media at Debora Hooper. I'm also the founder of Hooper's Ministry Academy. The academy will be opening up for enrollment on July 1st. So if you're interested in connecting with me on another level, please feel free to go to deborahhooper.com to get more information about that. Also, my book here again, Bishop McDaniel is one of my endorsers, Bishop Jackie McCullough, Bishop Philman, Bishop Charles Green, and also Dr. Rita Twiggs and Bishop Charles Ellis III. So if you need a manual, something to train your preachers, whatever you need, go to my website and check it out. Bishop McDaniel, thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
If you're watching, you're next.
I'll make sure I tell them.
Watch this. I'm going through all the fathers. You're all fathers in the city now.
Lord Jesus.
Who would have ever thought?
Who would have thunk it?
Ever thought? It's your time. It's your
My Lord.
water. That's all.
Yeah. Well, you come along with us.
God bless you, everybody. Thank you so much, Bishop. I love you in Jesus.
Thank you. I love you more.
We're going to have you back again in the academy.
Absolutely.
And talk to the pastors or just everybody, and we're going to give you a love offering and all of that. So I'll be calling you again soon. Thank you for the impartation.
Absolutely.
God bless you, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye-bye.